What's happening, contemporary world affairs? Professor Sky here. I'm outdoors, Thursday morning. It's a little warmer out. The sun's really nice. The birds are frolicking. And I put up 3 new stories this morning I wanted to talk to you about. So the first story I put up had to do with a new field of astronomy called necroplanetology. Crazy. Necroplanetology. So apparently 5 years ago, scientists observed a white dwarf star. I mean, light years away. I can't remember exactly. I wrote it in the article. But what was curious to them is it kept sort of pulsating at this even rate, like every 4.5, 5 minutes. And as they witnessed it more and more, it was clear that there was debris within its orbital sphere that it was absorbing. And then it was obvious that the planets that were in that system were being eaten and devoured by this white star, this white dwarf. Now, that brought them to believe this is probably something that happens routinely throughout the cosmos. And so they started this whole new field, published an article that's still up for, I think, peer review, and the field of necroplanetology is born. So before these white dwarfs turn into black dwarfs or supernovas, apparently they go through this stage where they eat their relatives or neighbors or everyone around them. So it's been observed several times since then, and so it's this really new kind of cool field within astronomy that people are gravitating towards. It just shows you the amazing will for knowledge that humanity has and has always had. And even though we're studying contemporary world affairs, this is really a contemporary other world affairs. See what I did there? Yeah. The next story had to do with masks, yes? So I'm sure if you've been out, you've seen people wearing masks. Watching the news, you see people wearing masks. There's a big controversy over, the effectiveness of masks. And so if you look at some countries in Asia like Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, they seem to have really low levels of transmission and not that many cases. And so the theory is that because most of those societies wear masks routinely, and I should say there it's seen as both a courtesy to others and a protection for self, okay? But again, these countries don't have the incidents that other countries are having, so there's a big debate going on about masks, which is very curious. I'm sure you've seen around the country, people are making masks and sewing masks now, using bandanas. The CDC has altered their specs on what's acceptable masks. PPE, personal protection equipment, that we're so in lack of in the United States, makes it a big controversy as well, because if all of society's out wearing masks, those are just masks away from frontline healthcare providers that really need them. If you look in Europe, though, countries like Slovenia and Austria are mandating public wearing of masks. So I think something that was pretty common and cultural within the East is moving west very quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the fall you saw many Americans during these sort of sporadic outbreaks of COVID-19 also wearing masks. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who I'm sure you're familiar with, has said recently, within the last few days, there's a good likelihood in the future that Americans too will probably have to move to wearing masks. So keep an eye on the science behind that, because that's what's going to have to catch up to both the cultural tendencies, again, to use them and not to use them. Because in the United States, it's kind of considered a taboo thing, just to be honest. See the clouds moving behind me? It's pretty dope. It is pretty dope. The last story I put up had to do with something that's very close to my heart, which is outdoor skills. So I'm outdoors right now. I got my sweater on, I got my hat on. I've already planted beets, radishes, spinach, peas. I saw yesterday they came up, which is dope. But that article dealt with all kinds of outdooring skills. Everything from compass pointing, to building shelters, to sharpening knives, starting a garden, foraging. I forget what other ones were in there, but I want you guys to think about this. You're going to stay indoors and do a lot of book learning, keep reading. We're going to return to normalcy at some point. But what about using this time to go outside, reintroduce yourself to nature, and teach yourself some skill sets that are applicable in your daily lives? There's so much science and practicality and physics involved in the outdoor life, and then also be able to communicate that to future generations. I'm sure some of you already do these things, But what a great opportunity to go out and, you know, continue them and get better at them. I'm just sitting here next to my barbecue, and as I look, probably not coincidentally, dandelion greens. It's a little early in the year, so they're just a little bit sweet still, but I could sit out here and get my entire morning salad easily. You know what I'm saying? So keep checking me out on YouTube. I miss you guys. I'll hit you with some stories. Maybe not next week because that's our spring break, but I'm coming back the week after that. I'm not taking 2 weeks. You need to get to Blackboard and check out your due dates, your responsibilities. Get on the discussion tab, start posting. I'm not seeing that happening, and you guys know you're supposed to be doing it. All right? I miss you. Peace.